heating thing once we eat lunch. All right. Hello. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
We
Sorry,
made
we're a
it
little
almost
bit.
to the end of
Yeah.
We had some technical difficulties. All right.
Did.
I just turned on the reducing background noise, Clementine. Can you still hear stuff in the
No,
background of my...
no, it's
Oh,
perfect.
well, look at that. Success. StreamYard has good tools. I just didn't know they existed. Yay.
It was written new on the site, so maybe it's new.
It
Anyway.
was. So maybe we didn't miss it for too long. Yeah. So how is your week then?
Very busy. I didn't do half of the things I was supposed to be doing. It was a whole thing. And I have a like 8-hour drive tomorrow probably ahead of me. Because I'm going to Virginia for a day to see some collaborators and stuff. It's likely going to be a lot of politicking too, but hopefully productive, hopefully interesting. We'll see.
You have a good
But
audiobook queued up for the car, ready to go?
yes, I have this big boy.
Ah.
And I think it's a good audiobook for the drive too. Because also I noticed, I don't know if I think it's new, but it's on Audible now for free. If you have an Audible subscription,
Oh,
it is included, the audio, which
gotcha.
is really good. Because
Yeah.
otherwise I would have to
I
wait,
got into the Hoopla a long time ago. Yeah.
But on Libby, it's kind of a long hold, so I appreciate them doing that. But anyway, how was your week?
It was good. It's been busy. You know, as always. I've been doing a lot of rereading this week, so I've just been like so I love Tamora Pierce lots. I love her so much. She's perhaps my favorite author of whose work, like, I've read everything that she's written, right? And so I always reread this one series, like a bunch of series that are set in a world called Tortal. Like, I read all of those books all the time. But then just a couple days ago, I was like, you know what? I haven't reread the books in her other world for a long time. And might as well. So I've reread, like, I'm on book 5 in a row where I'm just like boom, 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 rereading, and I'm having such a good time. And life is grand. So during this first sprint, I'll be like finishing that reread and then hopping into the Ornithologist Field Guide to Love, which should be exciting, which I've been looking forward to for a while. So I'm really excited for tonight. Tonight's going to be great. I also, something to look forward to during this first sprint, I'm going to slowly transition myself downstairs with all of my things. So I'll disappear for a little bit. And then we get to turn all my books around and see if I can figure out which book is the final mystery book that is wrapped up. So that should be exciting. And if I still have some energy, I might do some Christmas decorating down there after we're done. So
yeah, I started the Christmas decorating last week, but I put my tree and 2/3 of the lights don't show up because it's a pre-lit tree. Yeah, and I don't know where it's coming from. I tried several things, and I guess the only thing I can do is to try to get like an actual other string of lights.
Well, I have a ton of extra light strings if you need some just to throw one to your tree. Yeah.
Oh, I would love that. Also, my tree's not that big, right? It's like, it's only like a meter long or something, right? I put it on a small kind of table. I was thinking of, hitting like a thrift store or something, but if you have like an extra string like that I could borrow, that would be awesome.
Absolutely.
Lifesaver.
No problem. Always ready to help out a friend. No, my mom found string lights that came in like packs of 100 on sale a while ago, and got both my sister and I like 6 packs or something. So I have a ton of string lights, which is super helpful, like they come in handy. So perfect.
Nice.
Success.
Yay. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
no problem.
otherwise, I'll be reading this book, which is very, because it's the Fairloot edition, so of course it's very hard to read. But it's the Hurricane Wars. Also, like it's so beautiful. Also, I did start and read like the first chapter like a couple days ago, because I knew
Nice.
that the this exclusive edition for the sequel was coming on sale a few days later, and I wanted to read it to check if I was liking it enough to buy it. But I only read 15 pages, and I got my email today for the early release. So
Mm.
I need to read a good chunk tonight and decide. I haven't read enough to decide, but so far I'm like,
That's the general consensus that I've heard from people. Um,
yeah.
but I don't want to sway you.
It's so sad because it's such a it's the most beautiful book I've ever seen in my life. Also, like I discovered that the pages also have the I don't know how I can show this easily, but it has like
I see. Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
boat there, right, that moves along and start basically to creep into the pages, and then as you read, it goes up. So it kind of,
That's cute.
spurs you on to continue reading a little
It's
bit.
like
So
a progress bar, like on your Kindle
yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's really a lot of fun. And you can even like notice it a little bit, even through like the sprayed edges a little bit, that there's the boat that streaks in there. So it's really fun, but like it's yeah. Also, even like the illustrations there, also like they're so pretty. And I love purple, so maybe I'm biased, but like I think that this also like because it's a completely new cover that they made, and it's so beautiful. I think the second one also they made this kind of red cover that's also very pretty too. But I don't think I'm gonna buy it. But we'll see. I do want to
Maybe your
continue
mind will change. Yes.
and make my own opinion. But so far, I'm not interested in anything. I just also
It's
I feel
Raylo
like
fan fiction, right?
I feel like
Repackaged Raylo. Is that right?
sorry.
I my understanding was that it was like repackaged Raylo fan fiction. Is that correct?
I wouldn't
Raylo.
know. I
Okay.
wouldn't know because I haven't seen the Reylo movie, Star Wars
Sure.
movie, right?
Yeah.
I only saw like the first like six movies, and after that I was like, I'm not a Star Wars person. That's fine. It's okay. I don't care. But like the problem that I have, right, is we had this one chapter that was kind of set up of a world, but not set up of a world because it's not enough, right? We're dumped the names of the countries. We keep getting dumped Sardovia and the other one, which I never remember. But in like 15 pages, it was told to us like six times, and I still don't remember, right? And also Sardovia, it makes me think of the Princess Diaries, right? Moldovia, or Moldovia is an actual country, but like what's the fake name of this country?
I know what you're Genovia. It's with a
Genovia,
G.
yes.
Genovia.
It makes me think of this like it is a made up country that's like whatever European country, and I don't like it too much. But also like the world is not really set up. We just know these two countries are at war, and it's called the Hurricane Wars. We don't even know why it's called the Hurricane Wars, right? And now we're meeting, which I assume is the actual main love interest character. We just met him in like 20 pages. We meet him, and I wish, because some books are a lot better into setting up and taking their time before you actually meet the other person, and some of them are like dumping you in there and stuff, and sometimes it works, and here I don't feel like it doesn't. um so I'm just hoping, but I don't think it's gonna deliver on the characters for me, and that's my big, qualm usually with books. Because if I don't feel like I like the characters, or that I at least feel that they're real, it's not I you can't do anything for me. It's not gonna change anything, right? Um,
Sure.
Even if the plot is really interesting, I'm still gonna find the book be mid, right? If I don't love the character, so
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes. I have no idea what to expect from the India Holton.
mm,
No clue. I did not read the description. I was just like, yep,
yeah.
I'll read it. No problem. The cover of that one's really
Well,
pretty
I
too.
mean,
Well,
just
I
from
don't
the
have it. It's an audiobook, but
yeah,
um
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Just from the title, right? I think it's an expedition for some type of medical bird or something.
we'll see.
Something like that. I think there's something with birds for sure because,
Well, the
ornithologist.
ornithologist part says bird for sure. She usually does like historical, wacky,
Yeah.
like fun
Yeah.
fantasy, and I that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that we continue with like the silly,
Mhm.
fun tone.
Mhm.
But when I look at the covers, they look a little bit more serious, a little bit more classic fantasy.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible that the tone will be significantly different. But I did, when I was looking up the book cover to put it on
Yeah.
our thumbnail, I also saw the book cover to the next book, which is like this really pretty green color. So I do imagine that these would be great books to own if they
Mhm.
end up being good. Um, yeah.
I
So,
saw the cover though because I was in a bookstore and I thought the cover material was really cheap actually, which was a little bit
well, to
sad.
be clear, I haven't seen it in person. I've
Yeah, no,
only
no, no,
seen the
no. I
the
mean
pictures of
the
it.
cover actually in like real life is like feels a little bit less than in digital format, which is usually the reverse, right? But I
Yeah,
think it's because the printed material that they used, I think they used like kind of a cheap one, and it has like it's matte but also a little bit glossy in some ways, and I didn't like it too much.
gotcha.
But being totally like aesthetically like
Yes.
but I do like this cover. I think it's a very kind of clean kind of cover there. Uh, I can definitely see like a sort of leather bound kind of edition or whatever this thing that
Yeah, yeah.
you actually
It'd be
looking
very
like
pretty.
a journal or something like that, right? Would be
Yes.
pretty. I'm actually not sure if it's gonna be wacky like the other series. I did read the other series and it was so much fun. Just no
Such a good
no
time.
don't expect like really things to make sense, but if you expect,
No, I didn't
like
really
you're
follow the
riding
plot
it,
very well in this book, but yes, it was a great time. So
great
much
time.
fun.
Just
Yeah.
just so ludicrous,
Turn
but
your
just
brain off, enjoy the wackiness. It's great. Yeah.
yeah. And the quirky characters, like the suspension of disbelief because sometimes it's a little bit convenient, but also it is wacky, so it is made for that, and it's
It
it's
doesn't even
perfect.
matter.
And
I was like, I don't care about any plot
yeah,
contrivances.
and I
Just
think the length of the books were just perfect because they were not too big. So when it would like be like a little bit repetitive or whatever, that was the end and
yeah.
stuff like that. So I am looking forward to getting that one. I did get the hold from my library soon the recently that told me that it was ready, but I
Mm.
did ask to deliver later because I have too many holds right now. It's it's not even funny. So I need to get through those before I read it, but I will. But I'm wondering if it is like you said, less wacky and maybe a little bit more like cozy fantasy, a little bit,
Mm.
romance ish. Which would
Yeah.
not, like bother me too much, but I haven't read, this author in this setting, so I don't know how it would work for us. But
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear your thoughts. So
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I have that one, and I also have Haunted Ever After by Jen DeLuca. So those are the two holds that have come in for me this week. Both of which I would like to read soon. I I was working on Shadow of the Wind this past week, and I think I don't know if it's going to get finished by me. Which is such a shame because it's a very highly respected book. Like everyone seems
mhm.
to love it, but
Yeah, but also it's
I don't know. It just seems a little bit sad and like a little bit grueling. And I'm having trouble. Like, yeah.
yeah, I just don't think, like every other book, right? Even if it is like a very big classic that everybody, read and said like it's amazing and everything, right? Like I read the fifth season and maybe I had too high expectations and it really didn't work for me, right? I am one of these people and it didn't work for me, and I understand how it could work for other people, right?
Right.
I'm very scared about The Shadow of a Wind. I haven't read it because I really feel that it's probably leaning too much in the literary fiction, kind of historical, maybe fiction
I think that's
for
the
me.
correct fear to have. Yeah.
But I do want to try it because it is, like a sort of modern classic at this point.
Yeah.
Um, Also, like I kind of am intrigued about like the kind of hybrid kind of genres blending all of them, right? Because there's
It's
some,
a little bit confusing to read because it's
yeah,
hard to tell exactly like how magical things actually
mm,
are in the book. Um, and in that way, I think that there's a little, it might be that I'm just like not far enough in. Like, I think I was around 30. Yeah, I'm at 29% right now.
got
So
it.
it's possible that like reading further would give
Hmm.
you more insight into like exactly what the boundaries of the quote magic are.
Hmm.
But like so far, the magic has been very light and very,
Mm,
I would say, underwhelming in its portrayal or like its like
yeah,
substance.
got it.
Um, yeah,
I think,
yeah,
yeah, I think the problem is that, in some ways, like how to say, it seems to be like more magical realism that's than a fantasy. So I'm worried that in terms of the magic, it would not really explain at all,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Even if you go farther in.
As I was reading, and this might really annoy some people, but what was really striking me as I was listening to it was I think if you liked The Alchemist,
Mm,
you might like
mm,
The Shadow of the Wind. And I liked The Alchemist several years ago.
mhm,
Um, but The Shadow of the Wind is significantly longer than The Alchemist. And I think if I were looking at The Shadow of the Wind right now and I was like, oh, I'm 70% of the way through, a couple more hours and I'll be done, I think
mhm,
I would be fine. But the book is so lengthy
mm,
and like that feeling of the alchemy where you're like following this young boy who like it has a little bit of a magical world and he's like exploring on his own, like all of these things. I'm like, okay, I feel like I've kind of been here and I've kind of done this and I liked it,
mhm.
but I've already done it. So if you haven't read The Alchemist in a while and you're like, I want to feel the way The Alchemist made me feel, and also I want it to go on for 3 times as long as it did in The Alchemist, then maybe Shadow of the Wind would be the correct choice.
So now I really want to actually scrap Shadow of a Wind
Oh
of my reading
no.
list because I read The Alchemist and I hated my time with it.
Oh
I
yeah, no,
hate it. And I'm sorry
I
for
yeah,
anybody who would watch this later on. No shade to anybody who likes it. I think it's just reminded me of one of the French classics that I had to read for school. And it just, since I had to dissect also the story and everything, I saw all the beats and I saw what the author was doing. And for me, it was just a rehash in a same kind of format as what was done before, right? And it
yeah,
didn't do anything for me. And I really hated the writing style too. I didn't gel with it.
yeah.
But I didn't expect to gel with it because I um
I'd say it's more like echoes of tone than like exactly the plot. So it
mm,
is possible that the Shadow of the Wind would still be successful for you,
mhm.
but yeah, yeah. I
But
actually, the more I think about it, the less I think you're gonna like it.
yeah,
Um,
no, I'm
but
pretty sure I would not like it, but it's one of those that I do want to try it
you
one
should.
day just to know what other people,
It's a book you
uh
get from the library, certainly
yeah,
not one you buy.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. I actually got it because I found it in like one of the garage sales way
Oh,
back
nice.
when I was back in France. So it is not here, it's in France, right? Somewhere. But I
Yeah,
got it for like $1 or so, right?
yeah.
So there is an edition of it there somehow, someday. So if I'm on
And lots of
vacation,
people love it. So you could pass
yeah,
it on when
true.
you finish with it and it would find a perfectly lovely home.
Exactly, exactly.
Um,
So I
yeah,
just got it because I knew it was a big title. I wasn't sure or anything, but I was like, that's fine.
yeah,
Shall we
yeah.
read? I think I'm procrastinating because I don't want to read this.
Oh
But I have to give it
no.
more than 25 pages, right?
Yes. Well, we do have to actually read because in order for me to do the bookshelf thing, we have to start reading books.
Yep.
So it is necessary. Should we do a short sprint to alleviate some of your like should we do 30 minutes instead of 45? Or do you want to give it the full out 45 minutes?
I mean, we can give it 30 minutes. That way, 30 minutes should be fine for you to do what you want to do, right? For bookshelves.
Oh yeah, it'll certainly be fine for me to transition downstairs and like get set up and everything. I'm not sure if I'll actually start flipping around books this time or if I'll wait until the next sprint. I think what I want to do during this sprint is transition downstairs, finish Street Magic, start an ornithologist guide to love so that I
Yeah.
can kind of get into it a little bit before I
Yeah.
start thinking about other things as I'm listening.
Yeah. 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 Makes sense.
Cool. Oh, I forgot that sharing my screen is a little bit of a longer ordeal the first time
Mm-hmm.
for the first sprint of the day. But here we go. 30 minutes on the clock. And this time, Clementine, genuinely, good luck. Happy reading. I hope it
Happy
gets
reading.
better.
Welcome back. Welcome, everyone. How was your first sprint? What did you guys do? Were you productive? Let us know if you read anything, how much you read it. Did you like it? Or did you do other things? Were you working or anything like that? I read 26 pages of the Hurricane Wars. But I'm 50 pages in, right? And I already want to DNF it.
No. Sad.
So there's one thing that the audio compared to because I'm reading along physically, right? And I really don't know why, but they changed the character's age by 1 year.
Interesting.
So which is really a weird thing also because she's like 19 and in the audio it says 20.
They might have just noticed like some bad math later in the book somewhere, like where she's like 6 years ago I something and then wanted to fix it.
That's what I thought too. But so far there's been other math and like they were saying 18 and then 19 and 19 and 20. So all the ones off by 1 year, it's off by 1 year, all of them so far. So I don't know. So I'm a little bit miffed with that because if it's just a final change in this version and the audio has that, it's a little bit strange for that, right?
Yeah.
But maybe there's something in the math that wasn't mathing or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like it's so weird. It's like there's something missing in this book. It's like you're in the middle of a book, you're not starting at the beginning. Because
Gotcha.
like it's presenting this woman when she just meets this other guy who's like the main, like the crown prince or something of the other part, the other country that is at war with them, right? But then they say like everybody's dead in this war, and we just met because like in the first chapter there's this wedding of two other soldiers that she's working with. And then the second chapter, after the war, after the battle is done, one of them is already dead. How are we supposed to even care about this man being killed? We met him once, right?
Right.
And then everybody says, "Oh, the war is done. You have to go to this light sever that will like amplify your magic." It is a godsend, but it's essentially in the middle of the enemy country, and we don't have accurate maps of it. So naturally, the best thing to do is to take a wasp, one of those like their ships, right? But only one with a couple people and try to figure out where it is. You're the last one who has this light magic. We don't have any maps. We don't have any plans, but it's going to work out.
So what I'm hearing from you, Clementine, is that you're going to DNF this book.
Yeah. I think 30 pages in, I knew it was done because when she met this guy, you know how she managed to get away? She head-butted him, and then managed to leave.
I like some silliness in my stories, so that alone wouldn't preclude me from completing it. But
Yeah, but it's okay.
I can tell a lot of it is bugging you.
Yeah. I like silliness in my book. Don't get me wrong. I like really crazy, silly books, but this one, it's not supposed to be crazy, silly, right? That's not the vibe. The way it's written is so weird, and I can definitely see, even if I haven't read the Raylo stuff, but I also see the Shadow and Bone because of the light and shadow magic there thing, right? Um, Also, I can see that they're dumping a lot of information for the world, but I don't think like the magic is gonna make sense. But I think I should still read like a chapter or two to make a completely refined opinion. If it gets better, if it's just the beginning, or if it, it
I can't imagine what this book could possibly do to get better for you, like to fix itself. But also, I support you in your choices. I think I agree with Maria, who says, "Haha, you're already hate reading. It's just DNF."
I
Um,
I think I really just want to keep this book because it's so pretty, and I know it's a terrible thing to
You could
say.
still keep the pretty book if you want to keep the pretty book, Clementine. It can just be,
Yeah.
you could even put it backwards so you don't even have to look at the title, right? And you just see the pretty page sprayed edges. And then you never have to, you know?
Yeah, I did decide at some point that I wanted my bookshelf to be of books either I haven't read or books that I really enjoyed, right?
That's how I keep mine too. Yeah, yeah.
But Michelle,
Michelle, as much as I a little bit agree, I also want to save Clementine's sanity today,
the
please.
I think I just want to get to the actual quest, at least a little bit of a portion where they go into this more kind of setting, because I
Mhm.
feel like this is a setup and maybe it was a little bit rushed in some ways, so I do want to see when you said a little bit more. But I'm just gonna give it one sprint and that's it, and that's gonna be like the decision after that, which is probably gonna be a DNF, yes. um yeah, I know. Maria, this is a problem for me, and like that's why the subscription book boxes that I have, like the one box I get, I procrastinate on reading them because they're so pretty. And also like I hear also sometimes, you get the book and like a week or two after you start to get like really bad reviews and you're like, "Oh no."
I just realized I've still had the timer up. We don't need to have that anymore. We can get rid of
Yeah,
that. We can be
forget.
bigger.
You'll be watching a TV watch along later. Yeah, I know. I know that watch along you're talking about. Thank you. Thank you for joining us still.
Yeah.
Michelle, I drove home, helped Poe with his chores. Yeah. Poe's her
Big
cat.
hat.
Got cuddle position as appropriate and read 6 pages. What are you reading, Michelle? Let us
Yeah,
know.
you gotta update us. So, as far as my reading goes, I finished Street Magic, so that's done. Great book, by the way. Highly recommend. Like really well done. I also started an ornithologist's guide to love, and and it is silly. It is the same tone. We are perfectly silly. Life is grand.
Great.
Essentially, so far we've got this. So basically, the thing is, it's just historical fiction. As far as I can tell, there's no fantasy. So
Okay.
it's your same silly tone, but it's just like wacky professors looking for birds and trying to capture birds for aviaries rather than like you know witches and things.
Mm,
Um, so already we've got just like impeccable silliness. I'm absolutely loving it. This woman is, she's a Cambridge professor, but she's like with this mentor in the woods trying to help her capture this bird so that they can become famous ornithologists and like highly lauded. And their capture gets swept out from under them by this team of men who, of course, are like so annoying, but they're going to end up falling in love and it's going to be so cute. And I'm loving it. It's great. Highly recommend.
good.
I mean, it's India Holton. We know we're going to love it.
Yeah,
I'm 4% in and already having a great time. And
that's
in
good.
crafting news, I embroidered a Christmas tree while we were
Nice.
gone. There are two other ones that I'm going to use different stitches for. So it's going to be like 3 random trees.
Uh-huh.
But I just printed this off of Canva onto like a little stick it like a wash away
Yeah. Yeah.
stick and stitch situation. And it's working great. I did not think it would, but it does. So life is
Yeah.
grand.
Michelle is
I'm
right.
happy.
It is very pretty. Also,
Thank
the
you.
cloth that you are embroidering on is very
Mhm.
pretty too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I went to Joann's
Mm-hmm.
and I picked out. I don't know exactly what I want to make for everyone for Christmas yet, but I picked out a bunch of different like kind of Christmassy-ish prints. So this one is like snowflakes, and I've got like a red pattern and a green pattern, and some little holly leaves.
Mm.
Um, so I'm just like picking random designs and doing them on little things, and I'm gonna make like this could hang on your Christmas tree is the idea.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it's good.
yeah, yeah.
So
Very, very affordable. Highly recommend.
Michelle
Ooh,
reading The Bunker by It Kuzo. I'm
I
assuming
have
it's
not
a
heard of that.
thriller, maybe? Or
Sounds like a thriller.
is there a
Or
dystopian
maybe like a dystopian. Yeah,
twist to it? It could be still a thriller, but with a dystopian kind of thing, right? End of
for
world
sure.
vibe. Miss Eddie has to tell me how I need to cuddle with her. Of course. You know.
Yes. Oh, the cat's always determined. Well, Atlas, so I'm downstairs today because I'm going to turn all of my books around during our next sprint and try to figure out what our last mystery book is before I open it. I'm really excited. I give myself, I think there's like a 60% chance I get it and like a 40% chance that I have no idea. And there's also like, there's maybe a chance I get it wrong. I either think I'm going to know exactly what it is or not know it at all. I don't think I'm going to guess the wrong thing because I know what books I own. So, yeah.
And
But anyway,
and for
that'll be exciting. And Atlas is like, we're in a different spot. I don't know how to cuddle with you when you're sitting on this stool. So I made him like a little bed next to me with a
okay.
little blanket, but he doesn't like it very much. So we're still
Mhm.
figuring that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for context, I really tried to go through my memories of
Mhm.
figuring out what those books were, and I don't remember the last one.
I think that makes it so much better. I think
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's so exciting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So Michelle, The Bunker, it's book 2 in a series by an independent author. Book 1 was the point of view of a bully who is in a reform school in lieu of a prison. Okay.
Interesting. Well, I guess it must have been good enough for her to read the second book in
Yeah.
the series.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's good.
Cool. Shall we sprint or do we want to chat a little bit more?
I think we should sprint because I know for others we're not chatty as we used to be in
Mhm.
other sprints. But I do have to sleep a lot sooner than usual because I do have to get up tomorrow at 4 a.m. So
We also chatted a whole lot at the beginning. There was like
yes,
20 minutes of intro
yes,
chatting. So if
yapping.
anyone needs some more chatting and some less sprinting in their lives, feel free
Yes,
to scroll back in the feed and take a look at that. I am going to be kept thinking of me because of reform schools because I'm a teacher or because you think I belong in a reform school? Michelle, I
maybe.
don't know whether to be offended. I could watch the earlier chat. Yeah, it was fun, Maria.
Yeah.
It was a lot of just really like what are we currently reading stuff.
Yeah.
I am going to very quickly at the beginning of the sprint run upstairs and my earbud is dying. Get my charging case and my other earbud so that I can continue listening while I turn my books around, and then we'll hop to it. The detectiving. 30 minutes or 45? What do you think, Clementine?
Uh, we should do 45. I might have already DNF'd within the sprint. We'll see.
I mean, I think that would be a cause to celebrate personally. But
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I am giving myself like another chapter or two, right, to decide, but like,
gotcha. All righty. So 45 minutes on the clock. Hitting start now. Good luck. Oh
yeah.
yeah,
I
I will be
really
shocked. I entirely agree. Good luck. Good reading.
good reading. Welcome back. Let us know, how did you do during this last sprint?
Clementine, did you DNF?
So I put it down for today because I can't anymore. It's just too much issues and stuff. But I might continue just because I have the audio and it's easy enough to continue. And I stopped at a point where it was like something interesting happened or something, but like there's no lead up to it, there's nothing, there's no explanation, there's nothing. And there's something else that I don't like in books usually that is in this book, which is that kind of, I mean, it's not an amnesia trope too much, is that she doesn't know because she was 1 year old, so she's an orphan and she was found somewhere, right? Who is she? Oh my god, I don't know.
Well, that's directly from the Raylo situation. Like Ray doesn't really know.
Yeah, no. Also, like we had an actual like description of a male lead, and he's described with strong nose, aquiline jaw, and like the and the pout, like full lips, and all those things, and even like the voice, like the low voice and all that. I'm also like their like banter that is supposed to be like they hate each other, but they're like attracted. It doesn't play at all, and I don't see it at all, and I don't think I will see it more. But I had to read up to that point because when I had read before the sprint, they saw each other just during the battle and not after, right? So we didn't talk. So I needed to at least see that part. So I might read more another day, but for now it's a DNF. We'll see if it's probably a DNF for forever, if we're being honest. And after that, I decided I needed a win. I needed a good book, right? So I started finally Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune.
Yes, that is on my list to read soonish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do have the audio because I did. It's one of those books that I know I will reread, like the other one. So I got the audio from Audible itself, and I have so I am reading along, and I'm only 5 pages in, and I'm like, oh, I'm back with Arthur and
Okay, it is the same
Linus, and I love them. So anyway.
So my situation,
yes.
I read almost nothing because I was staring at my bookshelves trying to figure out what this was. So I turned all the books back like pretty quickly. It took me like maybe 2 minutes to turn all of the books. And most of the way through, I was like, okay, I haven't seen Devil in the Dark Water yet. I haven't seen Devil in the Dark Water yet. I haven't seen it yet. And it was the final 5 books. Devil in the Dark Water was there. But I just want to say that I am vindicated as far as thinking it might be it because it is exactly the same size.
The size, yeah.
The same weight.
No. I mean,
thickness. It's like exactly. So I've been trying to think of like what book feels like Devil in the Dark Water, but isn't it? And I cannot figure it out.
I can't help.
I know you can't help. I just, like, as I was looking, I was like, maybe it'll be Daughter in Smoke and Bone, but it's not because Daughter of Smoke and Bone is still here. I was like, maybe. I know I thought that other one was Magic Study, but Magic Study is also approximately this size. Maybe. Nope, here's Magic Study. So I have just been staring at my bookshelves, also turning all of my bookshelves back, like all of my books back, has really made me realize that there were quite a few books that I was like, oh, I totally forgot I owned this. I don't think I'm going to be able to remember like what book is missing. And 2, I don't think I'm particularly interested in reading this, right? So I still want to try most of them before I like unhaul them or get rid of them. But I don't think that many books on this shelf are going to be like necessarily winners.
So
but also I haven't purchased any books for like the last year and a half. Like all of these were bought more than a year ago, and my taste changed over time. Yeah.
So I think one thing that you should try maybe next year to do is like you can put the books, write the books down, or like put them on a wheel, on a digital wheel or something, right? And or a random number and randomly pick something there, or just like go. Oh, one thing that would be interesting is like go to Libby and try to, basically you enter the book until you enter and get a title that you can get right now, and just try it, right?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what this was, to be honest, Clementine,
Yeah.
right? Like the one twice a month for the last like 3 months, I've been reading books that I own that I wouldn't have picked up otherwise.
Yeah.
And like considering I'm planning on continuing this into next year, I think I'm already kind of doing that. I don't want to. I think that works for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if it's not attached to something holding me accountable, like these sprints or something, it wouldn't be effective.
No, but
And so,
that's what I say. You could potentially, like, if you don't have anything like planned or anything on one of those sprints, we could have something like that, and you
yeah,
just,
yeah, we could. I think we already like kind of have a plan for a little
yeah,
bit
we
of
do, we
next
do.
year. But
We'll
maybe
see.
once I run out of those, it would
Yeah.
be a good option.
So
That being
Michelle
said,
read
oh,
22
Michelle,
pages and watched Jeopardy, right? And Poe is yelling at the cat timer. So
cool. So I guess the moment is now,
yes.
right? Let's see what it is. I was thinking about like if I should take a moment and look at my like owned list on, which is not updated, but oh, I should have guessed. I forgot that I owned this. You gave me the Bone Season by Samantha Shannon.
Oh
Version.
no! That makes
I will
sense.
never read this. And I think if I opened it, I would say that I wasn't going to read this version because if if new books are coming out that are edited, I don't want to read the
Yes.
old version, and this is the old version. So I feel slightly ambivalent.
Well, okay. Having read the old version and the new version, there's not a lot of, I mean, there are changes in the writing a little bit. She rewrote the titles of the chapters and stuff. But honestly, I didn't see as many differences as I thought there would be overall with the plot. I think there's more, if you're really bothered with like timing inconsistencies, I think that's one thing that she wanted to put in there, right?
I don't usually pay close enough attention for
I
it
mean,
to
to be honest, most of the time I don't either, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to decide whether I want to pick this one up. I hadn't unfolded the book, but I had kind of decided
Yeah.
like maybe a year ago not to read this series until it was finished, like until it had completely come out. Kind of like I had decided not to continue with The Name of the Wind until it had completely come out.
So one thing as like a maybe concession or something that you could do, in this version and in the revised version too, at the end there is the novella, the prequel novella, The Pale Dreamer.
Yeah.
And that one I would say is better actually to start with that one than to start with the Bone Season. Because, like, honestly, the Bone Season, like, it is one of the synopsises that is the most vague, and you read the book, 50 pages, and something weird, really strange happens and changes the book completely on its head, right? And the prequel novella is really good at explaining, like, the actual, like, world setting, page, the gangs and the magic a little bit in a kind of easily digestible way, and it is a kind of finished kind of little bit of snippets, right? So it's not a big thing, also it's not something that if you don't remember all the details and you start to read the series after that, it's a big deal if you don't remember too much about the prequel novella, right?
Right.
but it also gives you like a little bit of idea about the world and are you a little bit interested or not at all, right? So
Gotcha.
that would give you also some idea as to when they actually, finish the whole thing. Because like obviously it is so far we have 4 books, right? Plus the prequel novella, and there's also a novella in between books 3 and 4, although that one is really short. The book
Is the
book
is the prequel novella available at the end of the new audiobook?
No, I don't think it's available. That's the thing.
Okay.
I don't think there is any of those, to be honest. I don't think so. But I'm not too
Like you
I
weren't
haven't
included
read
in any.
okay, to be honest, I'm not sure because I haven't read it through audio at all in both
Okay,
instances. I read it physically.
gotcha. That would be a potential. I love the idea of that. If I could
Mhm.
find it on audio, it would be a super easy yes. It would be like a yes, that's a great, like a really great happy medium. That would also like probably tell me whether I wanted to
Mhm.
read the series at all.
Yeah. Cuz like I do understand your concern, and to some extent I wish I would have waited to read it, later and everything, because right now I'm on book 3 of the revised edition, right? I have book 4 to read, then book 5 is coming out in February, and then probably we're gonna wait at least a year or two for every book. I'm hoping now that
Yeah,
she went really hard on revising everything, that she has, a better kind of plan and wrap up. I think originally there were 7 books planned in this series, I think.
okay. Yeah.
But I'm not 100% sure if
Yeah,
she's still
I would be willing to kind of start reading when there were only like 1 or 2 yet to come out and like space them out kind of in the lead up to the release. I would be totally willing to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm just
I-
not sure if it's too early for that.
Yeah. Also, I think the problem is in terms of audio, the revised edition, I haven't seen it actually in available on Libby for sure.
It has the revised cover. I don't know if that means that it's the revised edition or not.
No, but I mean the audio. I haven't seen it in my Libby at all available.
So I see the Bone season, yeah, fully revised with new material as an audiobook on Libby right now.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
yep, it is available. I actually just checked it out to see if uh, the novella was at the end, and it's not. Um,
Yeah, that's what I thought that it would be. I think the problem also is that there might not be all the audiobooks also easily the revised edition. I don't see
mhm.
it at all actually. The revised edition is not available in the library.
That's really strange. I
Only
mean,
the
it's hard to see. My glare is bad, but this says it's the revised edition. At least that's what the cover says.
well, because like for me,
Yeah, lavishly reimagined and revised 10th anniversary. Oh no, is that not the correct one? 10th
because
anniversary
like
edition.
if I yeah, but if you see here, right, I see the older version, right, is
Mhm.
there, and then the new version is not available.
Oh, we just must have different library cards. Mine is available through both through Enoch Pratt and the Free Library of Philadelphia, and I just got it from Philly.
Yeah, but the Enoch Pratt, I don't have it because it's Maryland's digital library, and I don't
Yeah,
see it. They have
I
the
have
older.
it through Maryland Digital Library. But it might be that I have both the Anne Arundel and Enoch Pratt cards in there. So sometimes they do have slightly different collections, even though it's under the same
Okay, got it.
name, which that might be it. It might be Anne Arundel. Um, Regardless, hypothetically, I could start listening to this book today.
Mm-hmm.
I could. I'm just not sure if it lines up with what I want to try to do. I don't know.
No, I don't. I think you have a good idea, and just keep in your mind that, if you figure out for the prequel novella, or like also the prequel novella, one thing, you can keep this edition because like it's
Mhm.
not changed at all. I haven't seen any changes either, like in
That's
the titles or anything like that, right? Which makes sense because I think she wrote the prequel novella a few years after she wrote the first book anyway.
she
So
probably
sorry
changed most of
for
what she
all
wanted.
the yapping for everybody in the chat and everything.
I think that's kind of what they're here for. Yeah, it's only about it's what like 70
150
pages
pages
long.
maximum. It's like 130 pages, I think, something like this,
Mine, oh,
right? Let me check.
way less. Like I'm seeing like 70 pages.
Because like,
Mine,
so
I
in
mean,
the
this one is from 457 to 526.
yeah, because I have the revised edition, right? And so in the
Sure.
revised edition, they actually write the page number for all the titles and stuff. So here it starts at page 497 to 563. So not even 100 pages, right?
Yeah. That's exactly
70
what.
pages.
Michelle, I think it's worth it. So this is going to be just like some chat, just I guess for people who, if you're a Maryland resident, you have the right to get a library card at every single county in the state.
Yes.
It's like part of our state's laws. So as long as you like, you can sign up online for most of them, and then they usually require you to come in person after like a year or two to verify like your ID. But yes, I think it's worth it to sign up for Anne Arundel and Baltimore City and Baltimore County and PG County, really anywhere, because the more library cards that you have in Libby, the wider your selection is. And if you're searching for something on Libby, you should just always make sure that you do what's called a deep search, and it's available in your filters. If you click on deep search, it's going to show you all results from everything that your library could potentially have. So that's going to hit everything that any one of your libraries has. And then also it'll show you any books that would potentially be available in Libby that your library hasn't purchased. And those books, you can click the notify me button, and then it's like requesting it from your library. It's like asking your library to purchase it, and you'll get a notification if any of your libraries do. So I certainly think it's worth it. But also I read too many books. And primarily through the library. So for me, it's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm. I also agree that I don't have as many library cards, but it's still worth it for me. And I should make an effort to get more of them, and get the hoopla set up and all those things that I managed to.
I did. I checked in Hoopla and it's not on there. Hoopla definitely has a more limited selection, but when it works, and it's free. So, yeah. Deep search, but you only have 2 cards. Yeah, and Michelle, that'll get you a lot, right? That'll get you a ton. I'd say like 70% of the selection you're going to get, you probably already have. But the more cards you have, also, oftentimes you can find shorter wait times. So like it might be an 8-week wait at Enoch Pratt, but a 3-week wait at Baltimore County. So it's nice to have both because you can pick the shorter wait time.
Exactly.
As I just nerd out about library cards, but yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I have the luck also that I do have, like, I still request a lot from my old library card from California, because it's still, working. And they do have a lot of titles that sometimes, since it's not in the same region, they actually have a lower amount of weight for some reason for this one book compared to around here. All the libraries around here have a long wait time or something. There's strange things sometimes that
It often depends on their budget and like their readership, right? Like what are they deciding to purchase more titles of and like what are their patrons most interested in, because if their patrons are really interested in a book, they might purchase more titles than like the patrons like than the librarians here would purchase. So that totally makes sense to me. I often have better luck with checking out from Philly than I do checking out from Enoch Pratt, just because I mean, I don't know what Philly's budget is. I have no idea, but it seems to me like Philly's budget is bigger for the number of people they're serving.
Oh yeah, I mean, my card from California is in the Bay Area, and it's clear that they have more funding, because some copies,
Yeah,
like a big book, they have like 52 copies or something like this. It's something crazy, right? But also they
yeah,
do have a lot more people that do request it, so sometimes it ends up, evening out, and it's actually better from
absolutely.
Baltimore libraries, but still,
Yep.
21
And
days.
Michelle,
Yes, I do
yeah,
agree. That's one thing.
yeah, that's totally true. And like different libraries are going to have different times. I think really I read too much, so my opinion is skewed. I think 14 days is plenty for the length of checkout for a book.
I
When I
agree.
was checking out from my library as a kid, like, like when I was checking out physical books a lot, our loan times were always 14 days. It was always 2 weeks. And I think that's generally fine. I think what you really have to be strategic about is like when you're accepting your loans, right? Like if you don't think you're going to be able to start it soon, delaying your hold
Mm-hmm.
until later so that you can accept it later, I think is smart. Um, yeah,
I do think that 14 days is like really sometimes for big books, because I read a lot of big books. And I remember especially this one, for example, the Robin Hobb. I actually read nearly half of his book, but like 2 years ago, because, and then I had an issue and I was not reading, and then the hold lapsed, right? So now you have to reread all of it because I don't remember, obviously, which is fun. But it is what it is.
yeah. I think the yeah. I think the important part in there is that like something was preventing you from reading in the middle of that, right? And yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but it's not, it's just life, right? I couldn't read as
yeah,
fast. And I didn't read for a couple days, and then I still continued, and I tried to make an effort to read, but
sure,
then the audio lapsed, right? And so, and I'm sure if I had had just the 7 more days, I would have finished it, right?
sure,
Um, so I think for me, in terms of like 21 days, usually 14 days is plenty, but for bigger books, I wish, I wish honestly that there was an option for when you request, right? That you have up to 21 days, but you could say like I just need 14 days or 7 days, right? And I guess there is this option in some ways because you can just return it early.
yeah. I always
Uh,
return as soon as
but
yeah,
also, like, the problem is sometimes, I request it and then I tell myself, oh, I still have 14 days for this loan or whatever and stuff, and I end up waiting up to the limit, right, of this to read it, where if I committed at the beginning to the 14 days, that way it could like shorten the loans for other people. I think
yeah.
it's good for that, right?
The reasoning behind that is primarily budgetary.
Yeah.
So, libraries get to obviously they get to set how long their loan periods are for. Um, they tend libraries with smaller budgets or who serve a larger number of patrons tend to set their loan times as shorter
Mm-hmm.
because the way that you purchase digital books is that you don't have them forever. You don't purchase a copy as a library and have it for the life of the book.
Mm-hmm.
They expire. So you might purchase a digital copy that is like a one user copy for 2 years. So you only have it for 2 years. That means you have a maximum of 52 people who can read that if they're taking their full 2 weeks every time they check it out.
Sure.
So yeah, it's a budgetary constraint.
Yeah. And I do agree. Michelle reads even longer books than I do. So 40 hours audiobooks is really hard in 14 days. So like what is it? The Stephen King 11/22/63 It's probably very hard to do, and there's probably a lot of people already waiting for it. So you can't, just I assume like that the thing that you can do is as soon as you have it, you can try and request a hold again, hoping that by the time your 14 days is up, you would get another copy or something, right?
And if you have several different libraries, you can also simultaneously request
Also,
holds. Um, yeah, and I think that part of my like stance on this is I don't know. I don't tend to critique things that are free to me. So I'm just happy to have the opportunity.
I'm
I'm
not
happy that
I'm
it's
not
available.
critiquing.
Yeah,
I'm just I understand the why, they have 14 days like this, and I do understand that, obviously the Maryland Digital Library is catering, a big amount of people compared to, so
right,
it's normal that, you have some libraries that are only 14 days to 21 days. I'm just saying, me personally, it's hard. 21 days seems
sure,
more like doable for me, and 14 days a lot harder for some, right?
right.
But like, you know.
And Michelle, what this really does is it brings up a great point about if you have multiple cards, which library are you requesting from,
Mm,
right? Because sometimes maybe it's not the right choice for you to request just from the one you're going to get it fastest. Maybe
yeah.
it's the right choice for you to request from, okay, maybe it's going to take me, 8 weeks instead of 3 weeks, but I'll have it for 21 days instead of having it for 14. And maybe that's right for you. Um, yeah,
Sometimes I do that. I do that if I'm not like if I don't need it, really fast, the hold, I will like prioritize one that has 21 days and not the stuff. But sometimes the problem also with the one with 21 days is that it's not like 8 weeks versus 4 weeks. It's more like, 20 weeks versus 4 weeks, and you're like, right? So,
well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, personally, in that case, I would take the faster hold and then kind
yeah,
of like you mentioned, set another hold right after I check it out. Um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because I was thinking so hard about the bookshelf, I didn't get very much of my embroidery done, but I have a little bit of a second tree
Oh,
started, which are going to be like little dashes. So should be fun.
uh-huh.
Eventually, it will show up.
Should we do
Should we do one more sprint?
yeah?
Okay, how long would you like to do? Because you are the person who has a bedtime.
How about we do a 45-minute sprint, because I would not be able to do two sprints anyway. And that way we just have a bit of a longer one, because also we did have a short one, the first one.
Sounds good.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share the timer. There we go. And good luck, y'all.
Mhm. Welcome back. How much have you read? Let us know. How much did you read, Angela?
I got to fabulous question. I got pretty far. I'm at 23% and loving it. It's great. It's so silly. We have gotten some like very lightly fantastical things. Basically, just the birds that they're looking for. Some of them are like
See?
actually birds or whatever. But
I was
yeah,
correct.
it's you would expect. No, I mean from the title we knew there were going to be birds, right? But like, yeah. It's exactly what you would think. So yeah, it's a good time. It's an India Holton. If you liked India Holton's other books, definitely read it. Like for sure, it's got exactly the same tone. If they were not your thing, I'd say skip it. But yeah,
nice.
How about you?
I reached page 50, so I also did. I mean, it is a 400-page book, though. This one is, I think, a little bit longer than the first book. But it's amazing. I already nearly cried of joy because the kids, oh my god, those kids, they're so cute.
If Tamara Pierce ever releases another book, you will see me fangirl the amount that you are fangirling now. Yeah.
I also really appreciate, the narrator is really good. Because, like, for example, obviously, like, we have, like, a little bit of time that passed. So, like, he gently, like, changed a little bit the voices. Like, Lucy, you can definitely see that he's lost a lot more of his baby voice. He doesn't have as much of a baby voice that he had in the first one, right? Which makes sense between like, a 6 and, like, 7-ish kind of year old, right? It might change a little bit, so I really appreciate that, and I can't wait. Also, I think, like, there were a lot of people that were starting to say, I don't understand why we need a second book because the first book was amazing and it ended pretty well.
Honestly, that's kind of the camp that I'm in.
Yeah, but, like, essentially it's just coming back because obviously they did something to change the world, but it's not going to take just one day to change the world. Um, so obviously if you like the first book, but you feel like there's nothing more that would be coming out of it and you don't feel like you need to know the story, I think this book is really for the people who loved the characters, honestly, right? And just want to have more in the world, and that's totally fine with that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was surprised when they said that there was going to be a sequel. I was really, really surprised.
Me too. I was surprised. But I for once I read actually the acknowledgments like a week ago or something, and I actually cried reading the acknowledgments. So there you go.
That's sweet. I'm glad that you're enjoying it.
He's dedicating this book to the trans community essentially. So just a side note, and he's advocating against the anti-trans movement and all those things. So anyway,
important. In
embroidery
in update, tree number 2 is done.
Ooh.
Woo. So now we've just got tree number 3 to do, which I don't think I'm going to do tonight. I think I'm going to take a little break. I've made lots of progress today. I am debating if I want to put little gold stars on the top of the trees, which I do think I'm going to do.
I think
and then the other thing to decide is there's a little line for the ground down here, and I do like that. So like if I wanted to stitch that in white, like I might do that. And then the question becomes, do I do little dots for snowflakes falling? Like just a couple of little white dots. But I don't want to like overdo it, So I think I'm definitely going to do the ground and the stars and then just see if I feel like there should be more.
Got it.
How are you feeling? Are you feeling like you'll be able to get to bed at a reasonable time so that you can wake up early in the morning?
Not sure. To be honest, not sure, but I need to try at least, right?
Yes.
Because like waking up at 4 a.m. is not my norm. Some people are okay with that, but like,
No, I think that's early for most people. I think you would
yeah,
be hard. Like maybe 2 or 3% of the population are going to be like, oh yeah, 4 o'clock, no problem. But I
yeah,
think most of us are in the too early.
I
Yeah.
know. I think for me, anytime I have to wake up, 6 a.m. is early, right? But it's still okay, right? And I do it, once, a week or something because I have another meeting or something like that, right? It's fine. But like anytime I have to wake up before 6 a.m., it's just too early. Like 5:30, like it's still it's ugh, jeez. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm like a wake up at 6, get out of bed at 6:15, leave my house by like 6:45, 6:50 situation.
Mhm.
Like that's my current schedule. And literally like that's the earliest I can go. Anything before that, I'm like,
Uh-huh.
no, I don't want to. So good for
I'm
you for doing it and making it through tomorrow and all those things.
No, and I had a lot of fun. Because also I hadn't had a lot of time. My schedule's been very busy at work, so it was nice to, hold me accountable and actually take some time off for reading because, you know, a cozy
Yes.
night. So thank you for everyone else who joined us. This was our sprint. Sorry for, I mean, I would have probably been okay with another sprint for sure, but so next week, obviously, we have Thanksgiving, so we're just gonna take a break and
Yeah, we'll certainly skip next week. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But we
So
will be back in 2 weeks in our regular scheduling.
all right.
Bye, everyone.